Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm Shanna Chambley, Sam McLure's campaign manager, and I would like to introduce y'all to a man who advocates for the unborn, speaks for the weak, my personal adoption attorney who helped build my family, brother in Christ, and Lord willing, our next Attorney General for the great state of Alabama, Sam McLure.
All right, thanks Shanna, one of the best campaign managers in Alabama. She's a genius, very thankful for her. First, I want to thank the media for being out here today, and I think you guys have shown a lot of courage over the last year and a half. I think you have showed a lot of perseverance in the face of adversity, especially helping us expose a lot of the corruption in Alabama. So for Sam McLure, I just want to thank you for that. And if now's the time you want to thank me for having this press conference at 8:30 instead of 2 o'clock, you can do that now. Yeah, I've been to some press conferences in the summer at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I want to thank my wife and my children. My wife's my best friend. My children come in a close second. I'm super thankful for their support wherever they are. We got a fantastic press secretary, and I want you guys to meet her and get to know her, Tracy. She's here. This is where I want to start. Today, we are announcing our candidacy for Alabama Attorney General. Today, we're announcing that we want to partner with the people of Alabama to speak for the weak. Authenticity in politics is as rare as a Harper Lee novel in the 20th century. An authentic voice with courage to speak truth to long-standing and insufferable injustice are moral virtues which find a place near and dear to our heart, to my heart. It's because I reverence these virtues that I feel like I have to begin this journey with a poem, with a song, an ancient Middle Eastern hymnal. And I don't begin this way because I expect or desire the people of Alabama to hold me in some special reverence because of it, or to give me a free pass on all my failures, or to grant me lenience on my shortcomings. And I don't start this way because I think it gives our campaign carte blanche approval on all of our ambitions and visions. I simply share this and start this way because it's who I want to be at the very core of who Sam McLure is. This is who I want the people that we partner with to be the driving passion when their feet hit the ground in the morning. I want this to be the resounding answer of our clear conscience. There are no more heroes, and the subject of this song was the last, and Sam McLure is no exception. Here we go. May God be gracious to us and bless us and make His face shine upon us, that your way may be known on the earth, your saving power among all nations. Let the peoples praise you, O God, let all the peoples praise you. Let the nations be glad and sing for joy, for you judge the peoples with equity, and you guide the nations upon the earth. Let the peoples praise you, O God. Let all the peoples praise you. The earth has yielded its increase. God, our God, shall bless us. God shall bless us. Let all the ends of the earth fear Him. If there's ever a question about why Sam McLure is doing something, this is what I want the answer to be. Speak for the weak, speak for the weak, speak for the weak. Alabama desperately needs an Attorney General who will speak for the weak, who will lead this state in speaking for the weak. Like most good adventures, I want to start this with a love story. I fell in love with my wife at the Starbucks on Zelda Street here in Montgomery, where she started sharing her heart for orphan care. We began to grow in a vision to both be missionaries into a place of the world that was dark. It needed salt and light. It needed more resources of the church. And we eventually I went to law school with the ambition of being a tent maker in the part of the world that needed more Christian influence, to be a missionary. During law school, we adopted my oldest son, Jacob, when he was 3 years old out of the Hungarian foster care system. And that began to open our eyes to the need for the church to invest itself in caring for the orphan, a vast global need. It began to open our eyes to the need right here in our state. Right here in our state, there is a foster care crisis. Over 4,500 children find themselves in the foster care system because of abuse and neglect. Now, every DHR attorney, every attorney who should be focused on advocating for their best interest is an assistant attorney general. Over 400 kids age out of the system every year with no permanent family. no permanent family that they can go home to for Christmas. That's got to change. The Attorney General's got to put his finger on that button and make sure that the orphans in our state, the abused and neglected children, have the most zealot, passionate, and skilled advocates that we can find anywhere in the world. And by God's grace, Lord willing, we're going to be your next Attorney General. Sam McLure will be, and we're going to put our finger on that button, we're going to push it. When Isaiah, the prophet Isaiah, was speaking truth to the established justice of his time, one of the first things on the tip of his tongue was, you're not seeking out and making safe the orphan. Alabama needs an Attorney General that's going to speak for the weak. Alabama needs an Attorney General who is going to look into one of the greatest injustices in human history. The fact that every day in Alabama, 16 children lose their life to abortion. That's a gross tragedy. This may be the worst tragedy humankind has ever known. And right now, the state gives a free pass to people that make a living off of killing children, that profit from deceiving parents in vulnerable situations. Abortion's not good for parents. The highest outcomes of suicide and depression, mental illness happens after parents have made this mistake of going through with an abortion. Alabama needs an Attorney General who will speak for the weak. I want to bring up a friend of mine, Ben Nelson. Ben Nelson is a passionate pro-life advocate in the Huntsville area. He goes to the abortion clinic there to try to rescue those who are being taken away to slaughter. He's a father of 5 and husband and a faithful member of his church. I want to bring up Ben Nelson to speak a little bit more on that topic.
Thank you, Sam, for having me here today. Like I said, I wanted to speak on the pro-life issue, and I think in our current time, the issue of abortion gets pushed to the back burner a lot of times. It's seen as an issue that is not large enough to warrant our attention. We have bigger issues to deal with. It's just a social issue, whereas we have all these great financial issues and other things that we need to deal with. And not discounting the other issues that we do need to deal with, I think it's time for the issue of abortion and for the issue of life to come back to the forefront. Like Sam said, I work with the abortion clinics in Huntsville, and I've been there with my wife, with my children. We've seen the women that go into these clinics. They go in there many times, you can tell with the distress that's on their face. They go in there sometimes visibly pregnant, where you can tell that they're carrying a child. And they go in with 2 lives, and there comes out just 1 life. And I think one of the reasons that people don't see this issue for what it is that we've refused to address it the way it needs to be addressed, the way Mr. McLure just addressed it. This issue is not a choice. This issue is not an inconvenience needs to be taken care of. It's not just an option. It's time to stop sugarcoating the issue with nice-sounding words and covering up a horrible act that is murder. It is the murder of an unborn child. It's the killing of an unborn child. It is the taking of a life. And when I go there at these clinics, I see these women and these fathers bringing their children there, and it just breaks my heart because I have my own children there. I have my little 1-year-old, my 2-year-old, my 4-year-old, my 6-year-old that are there. And I think, why can we not love children? Why can we not take care of children? That's why I love the work that Mr. McLure has done with adoption. I have personal friends that have worked with him who have adopted little babies that wouldn't have had a chance otherwise. And that's the answer. We have to help these women, but we also have to stand for the helpless. We have to help the helpless, speak out for those that can't speak for themselves, and work to change this policy in our state and in our country that condones the killing of innocent babies each and every day. And like Mr. McLure said, approximately 16 children lose their lives in Alabama every day through abortion. And it's time to stop that. It's time to stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves. It's time to speak for those that can't speak for themselves, and time to stand with men who are willing to do that. I'm glad Mr. McLure had me here to speak. Hope you listen to everything else he has to say.
Awesome. Great job, Ben. So thankful for people like you around the state. It's hot in Alabama, but it's going to keep getting hotter. I want to talk about the criminal justice system fiasco that we have in Alabama. We need an Attorney General who will, with icy cold humility, diagnose and embrace the fiasco that is our criminal justice system. Alabama needs an Attorney General who will lead this state in looking squarely at our racist past, looking it squarely in the eyes, and with nerves of steel, confront the vestiges of this evil that are still present in our government structures today. Government can't fix racism. It just can't. We all know that. It can't fix people's hearts, but what we can do is look at Alabama's past with stone-cold humility and arm ourselves with the fortitude to continue to confront this cancerous vice. I was the first white running back at Bethune-Cookman College. It's in the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference. I might have been the first white running back in the history of historically black colleges. I feel like I have a grain of sand experience, like a minuscule microscopic experience of what it's like to be a discriminated minority, to be called racial slurs with impunity, to feel like you can't date a certain girl because of the color of your skin, to feel like the authority structure is set up against you. So that's a grain of sand, a microscopic. But I think from that experience, I've taken away some empathy with people, with minorities in our state who don't have all the resources to buy their way out of petty crime like drug crime. It's time that Alabama has an attorney general who will confront the sinister government intrusions which amplify the inequalities in our criminal justice system. Johnson's failed war on poverty, Nixon's failed war on drugs, they need to be forever filed in the wastebasket of history. And to speak directly to that point, to the point of reforming our criminal justice system, to speak directly to the point of the insanity of incarcerating people that are medicating themselves instead of getting them help, to speak to the point of mercy to people who are sick and could use medical marijuana to treat themselves. I want to bring up Robin Pass. Robin is an orphan care advocate. The issue of medical marijuana first came on her radar after she adopted her second or third child. When she adopted a child out of foster care who had multiple medical problems, 60 seizures a day, she started looking into and researching medical marijuana. Her family are some of the most upstanding citizens in the city of Montgomery in the state of Alabama. They have given their lives to caring for orphans, and they see clearly through the fog and the lies that of the reefer madness, and they see that it is something that can help people that are sick. And I want to bring her up to speak more on that topic. Please welcome Robin Pass.
Thank you so much, Sam. In 2012, my 11-month-old son started having seizures. They were a result of the brain injury that he sustained while his birth mother endured physical abuse during her 29-week pregnancy. 6 different dangerous pharmaceutical drugs and an extremely restrictive diet failed to control the uncounted number of seizures and untold chaos that racked my only son's brain every day. After hours and hours of reading, months of talking to other affected families, and 3 years of begging legislators to hear our pleas, we were given an affirmative defense here in Alabama that enabled us to try cannabis oil for Gabriel. He has spent 16 of the last 30 days completely seizure-free. Translated, that means approximately 4,500 fewer seizures in a year's time. We are only one of thousands of stories from families crippled by seizures, plagued with devastating neurological disorders such as Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, fighting Crohn's disease, or trying to break through the barrier of autism, that cannabis medicine has rewritten. Those chained inside a prison of opioids and benzodiazepines have been given a gateway to freedom from harmful addictions. Quality of life is dramatically improved, families are spared unimaginable heartache, and human lives are literally saved because of a plant which the government of the United States wants us to believe has no medical value, yet they hold a patent, number 6630507, stating the exact opposite. According to a study by the University of Georgia, 29 of 50 states now have comprehensive medical cannabis laws. In 2013, $165.2 million was saved by Medicare on prescription drugs in the 17 states which had legalized for medical purposes, suggesting that if all states had implemented medical cannabis laws, Medicare could save $468 million annually. A 2016 study published by the National Institute on Drug Abuse found that in those same states with legally protected dispensaries, there were, quote, lower rates of dependence on prescription opioids and deaths due to opioid overdose than would have been expected based on prior trends. My own son, now free of pharmaceuticals, will save Blue Cross and Medicaid over $12,000 a year because he takes natural, whole plant cannabis oil instead. And most importantly, there is no danger in death or injury because of overdose from cannabis. It's never happened, ever. Those in government who withhold life-saving medicine from those who need it are choosing ignorance at best and are immoral and unethical with questionable motives at worst. There is no longer any excuse. We must not make criminals of parents and loved ones who have no other choice but to use cannabis illegally or watch someone that they love, quite possibly their own child, suffer and die simply because of their zip code. Cannabis laws must be reformed both in Alabama and in the United States. Sam McLure understands this need and has already begun working to find logical, bipartisan ways to make reform a reality. And I thank him for it.
Thank you, Robin. These are the kind of people we need to partner with us to speak for the weak. Early on in my wife and I's dating courtship, we would meet at Cafe Louisa early on Wednesday morning and study through something together, and she quickly got my number. She diagnosed what Sam's problem is, that I had big, grand ideas of how to make the world a better place. She took me to Micah, that same passage that I think it was Teddy Roosevelt had printed on the inside of the Bibles he gave soldiers. And this was the passage, that to do justice, love kindness, and walk humbly with God. We need an attorney general that will have courage to love kindness, that people that are sick and ailing, and then they can get proper medication. We need an attorney general who's going to speak for the weak. Now it's not even 9 o'clock and it's hot in Alabama, but it's going to keep getting hotter. I want to talk about the politico greed corruption that is pervasive in the Alabama establishment political machine. Alabama needs an attorney general who will fearlessly investigate and prosecute politico elite greed corruption. For too long, the machinery of Alabama's government has been hijacked by politico elite greed monsters who crush the poor and extinguish their freedom to the benefit of a few, just a few, shadow-dwelling swamp swindlers. I want to talk about this man right here. I want to talk about Luther Strange. When Luther Strange took the appointment to U.S. Senate from the governor he was supposed to be investigating, it was like watching a train wreck happen in slow motion. The only thing more shocking was the deafening silence from the political establishment. I want you to imagine this with me. Imagine the CEO of Acme Corporation, figurative corporation, they make widgets. The CEO of Acme rapes a little girl in a back alley. The local district attorney is on it. They're on it like a bloodhound. They're going after the CEO. But the attorney general steps in and says to the district attorney, hey, step back. We've got this. Our office has this under control. I want you to step down, district attorney. Then, to defy all logic, the attorney general halts the investigation against the CEO for raping a little girl in a back alley. 3 months later, we find out that the attorney general accepts a job as the chief financial officer for Acme Corporation. Is Alabama okay with that? No, Alabama's not okay with that. Alabama needs an attorney general who will speak for the people of Alabama. Luther Strange, it is crystal clear that Luther Strange chose self-promotion over his duty to the people of Alabama. When someone acts with such cavalier disregard for their ethical conduct, when someone does that in broad daylight, when someone does what Luther Strange did in broad daylight, it screams out for zealous investigation into what happened behind closed doors. Alabama needs an attorney general who's going to speak for the weak, for the people of Alabama. Luther Strange, Mike Hubbard, Oliver Robinson, in many ways these are just fruit from a poisonous tree. The roots of this corruption lead to a few politico power brokers who bribe and manipulate the mechanism of government for their own greedy ends, crushing the rights and the freedom of the people of Alabama. Alabama stands at a crossroads where it will either wash away the filth of corruption or continue to wallow in the mire. There's a scene from Lord of the Rings where the trees come out and they attack the castle of the dark wizard. The trees are throwing rocks and they break a dam and this huge river of water comes through. And they're washing away the filth of this evil wizard. Alabama needs an attorney general to wipe the slate clean. That's not entangled in the corruption and in the mess. Alabama needs an attorney general to speak for the weak. In closing, I want to say to the people of Alabama, If this vision captivates you, if you want to be a part of changing history, if you want to be a part of speaking for the weak, if your heart beats to the drum of the hymn, Be Thou Our Vision, that says, riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise, Thou my inheritance now in all ways. If that's you, come join our team. Help us speak for the weak. If you can say with Martin Luther, let goods and kindred go, this mortal life also, the body they may kill, God's truth abideth still. If you can say that, if your heart beats to that drum, reach out to us, contact us. Contact our campaign manager, Shanna Chambly, our press secretary, Tracy Goodwin. And by God's grace, in 2018, we will be an Attorney General for Alabama that will speak for the weak. Thank you. Okay, any questions? Good, that's easy. No questions. All right, let me just offer this invitation to anybody in the media. There will come a time when dirt on Sam McLure and Sam McLure's skeletons in his closet become an issue of concern. I just want to give you this invitation. I'll be happy to do a live one-on-one interview with any media outlet that can pass through the vetting of Tracy Goodwin, our press secretary. So I just offer that invitation to you. With nothing else, let's get in some air conditioning, keep working to speak for the weak.